Would you guys believe me if I said that this chapter of One Piece is the biggest and greatest chapter ever in terms of lore and world building? You might be saying, Sai, you're exaggerating. There's definitely better chapters out there. But here's the thing. With no hesitation or exaggeration in my entire body and soul, I do believe that this chapter is absolutely massive. But before we get there, before I talk about the first world, second world, and third world, and the prophecy, we got to tackle the first parts of the chapter. And that's primarily not because I want to, blue ball you guys, but it's because the first parts of the chapter are things that I can understand, things that I can grasp and explain. And then in the latter parts, I'm probably just going to read everything word for word and not really give too much input there because it is insane. And you guys will understand what I mean if you've already read it. And if you haven't read the spoilers already, it will be down in the pinned comments. So feel free to read that for yourself if you haven't. So, yesterday, according to the brief spoilers, we learned that Shamrock's sword is indeed a Cerberus. It can transform. Bro, we haven't seen these that often, right? We had Spandam, we had, you guys informed me about this, but we had the teapot from Sukiyaki's hut, and then we also had Lasso the dog from Alabasta, right? Those are the only real instances of items or inanimate objects eating devil fruits. But here we have another one, and Shamrock has a mythological transformation for his sword. It's absolutely insane. And I saw people saying that because a Cerberus in mythology is the guard or gate dog of the underworld and hell, that Zoro would have to be Shamrock's opponent. And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't exactly there yet. I could see the vision, I get the correlation, but I was like, it's a dog, it's a dog sword. Like, it doesn't have to be Zoro's opponent. But in the full spoilers, we learn that the Cerberus, all three heads of the dog, have swords in their mouths. See, now I'm gonna sing a different tune. At first, I thought it was just a giant dog, but we're talking about a dog, a mythological dog, by the way, that uses three-sword style. Bro, nobody else in the series can do that, right? Except for Zoro. So the fact that we're getting a three-sword style mythological dog sword, yeah, I'm on board now, right? Zoro can fight the Cerberus. And here's the craziest part, is that I was wondering how Shamrock and this sword would work together. All right, because going back to Spandam from Enies Lobby, when he used his sword Funkfried, which had the elephant fruit, they couldn't exactly fight independently, right? They always had to fight together. Spandam had to hold the sword, the sword couldn't detach from the elephant, none of that. But in this chapter, Shamrock shows us the potential of the Cerberus sword because he commands the three heads of the dog to go off and fight Loki, while Shamrock takes the body of the sword and goes up to the Sun Realm. Yes, the Cerberus doesn't always have to be attached to Shamrock's sword. Well, it technically is because the heads detach, but it's just insane. Like, it's literally a 4v1 because the three heads act independently and Shamrock is going up there. Like, oh man. See, I could totally see this even being a Luffy and Zoro team up. Like, maybe Zoro fights the dogs with the three-sword style, and then Luffy has to fight Shamrock, who still has the main body of the sword. It is crazy to think about. And these heads are just going after Loki right now. They're just dogpiling him, stabbing him, and Shamrock and Gunko actually leave that area. And Gunko, again, I said it last week, I'll say it again here, but Gunko's arrow no Mi is absolutely busted. As of right now, it doesn't seem like it has any real limitations because she uses that fruit to make a bird to fly her and Shamrock up to the Sun Realm. What? The arrow no Mi made a bird that can fly? Are you kidding me? It's insane, and we actually learn where they're going. They are actually heading to the Walrus School. Walrus Academy, dude. Yep, they said tackling all the giants isn't going to be super easy, so they want to go for the most effective method, and that would be to get the kids, right? Round the kids up, possibly hold them hostage, and yes, that is also the most vulnerable part of Elbaph. Right? When we think about the Straw Hats and how they're divvied up, a majority of them are at the party and or the castle. Right? We're talking about Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Sanji, Jinbei, Brook. They're all at the party. Whereas the people in the library and around that area are Robin, Chopper, and Frankie. That's all they got, right? Of course, Ripley is there as well, I believe. Ange is also there as well as Saul. But will they be enough to beat Shamrock and Gunko if things go bad? I don't think so. And then, of course, there's also Vegapunk and Bonnie, who are just kind of going to the permit office. We don't know where that's at, so I can't really include them. But yeah, Shamrock and Gunko are about to hit them where it hurts. And what's really cool about this is that while they're heading there, Frankie, Robin, and the rest of them are learning about the Void Century, right? They're learning about the history and the Harley texts. So I wonder if the Celestial Dragons will weigh in on that, right? Imagine Shamrock and Gunko show up, and they're like, oh yeah, we've actually seen this before. Like, you guys are oblivious to the fact of the Void Century or something like that. The interactions are gonna go crazy, man. But last thing I want to talk about in regards to Shamrock is that Loki, in the beginning of this chapter, asks him about Shanks. Why does a great pirate like Shanks look similar to a celestial dragon like yourself? Bro, I don't know why, but that felt really good to read, right? It's like, last time we saw Loki talk about Shanks, he called him a coward. But of course he was joking. He was trying to get a reaction out of Luffy. But hearing him change his tunes now and just calling Shanks a great pirate, A1, A1. Shamrock actually indulges Loki on this question, and he says that Shanks is his younger twin brother. But he grew apart from the family, right? He did not grow up at Marie Joie. And actually, Shanks came back to Marie Joie at one point, and he denied staying there. Dude, I gotta see it, man. When did Shanks go back to Marie Joie? Was it with Roger? Was it when he left Roger's crew when Roger disbanded? Or was it when he became a Yonka? We do not know. But he did go back, and he told his family that he preferred to live in the lower world. That's our Shanks, guys. That's our Shanks. Which is funny for me to say because I do like the Celestial Dragon Shamrocks more, but I love that Shanks is true to his character. I love that he does not crumple at all. Also, though, quick heads up, apparently we do not see Shanks in this chapter. We only get the dialogue boxes. Of course, if we had the images, we'd know when Shanks visited, but Oda is still leaving that pretty ambiguous for now. So Loki ends up laughing at this, and he says, yes, now I have a grudge against both of you brothers. And when I get out of here, I'm gonna get revenge for myself and all of my animal friends. All the animals that Gunko pretty much put down, right? I think they're still alive, but last we saw, they all had arrows sticking out of them, so that's very questionable. And yeah, this is just great, man. Loki is now fighting the Cerberus all on his own. And I do want to use the word fighting very liberally because Loki can't fight back. And now I'm just wondering when they're going to help Loki? Because nobody's nearby. At first, I thought the guy off the coast of Elbaph was going to save Loki because he was in the underworld. But in this chapter, we come to find out that he's actually at the R's castle with Luffy and the gang. And then Luffy and the gang, they're no closer to going to Loki. So perhaps for the next 5 or so chapters, well, One Piece is moving pretty quickly, so maybe for the next 2 chapters, Loki's just gonna get dogpiled by the Cerberus. That's crazy, man, right? Is Loki gonna be alive by the time we free him? And even then, are there multiple copies of the keys to Loki's handcuffs? Because from the way it sounds, Gunko and Shamrock actually have his keys. So we can't release him until somebody beats Shamrock? Is that what's happening here? I'm not too sure. Maybe there's more copies and we just don't know about them yet. But now we cut over to Luffy's gang, right? Luffy's gang actually sees the giant guards and they have a whole discussion about Shanks. At first, they're accusing Shanks of being the one who broke into the castle and beat them, but Luffy says Shanks would never do that. The giants then say, well, if that is the case, then it must be somebody who looks just like him. Perhaps a brother. And Luffy says, wait, Shanks' brother? I can only imagine that guy being good if he had one, which we know is not the case. And then Luffy is the one who actually says this. I got it wrong yesterday. I said that maybe the guy in the Casa hat said it, but it is Luffy who says that Shanks' family are actually the Roger Pirates. And he starts listing them off. He says Roger, Rayleigh, the whole Roger Pirate crew. Except Buggy, of course, which I think is hilarious because we know that Shanks and Buggy are like this, right? We saw them at Marineford. We saw them in the Odin flashback. Shanks and Buggy, they're pretty much brothers, right? Cabin brothers. And as Luffy is talking about the Roger Pirates, apparently, it cuts immediately to the guy in the Casa hat, the man off the coast of Elbaph, whose identity we still do not know of yet. And he's actually about to open the doors to the castle. He is possibly, I'm trying to gauge the distance. He's probably a football field away from Luffy. We are going to see this guy next time we go back to the castle, right? Whether it's next week or the week after, we are very close to seeing this guy's identity. And I do think that there is a reason why Oda put a panel of him while Luffy is talking about the Roger Pirates. That is my deduction. You know, I'm still on the Scopper train. That is where I'm at. I still have been seeing people talk about Shiki or just a brand new character, or maybe even another character from Roger's crew. But yeah, as of right now, I am still on Team Scopper until we see otherwise. So now onto the last parts of the chapter, the part that I would describe as the most baffling part of the chapter and the biggest part of the chapter. But we hear about a mural inside of Treasure Tree Adam. And we learn via Frankie and Ripley that kids from 800 to 900 years ago drew it. Ripley has no idea what's going on here, right? Maybe the kids are just making things up or vice versa, whatever. We know that the mural is probably really important, right? And Frankie even kind of talks about it a little bit too. And he says that a lot of these characters on the mural don't look like giants. We cut away from Frankie, because this will tie in later, and we cut over to Robin, who is currently still in the library. She's talking to Saul, and Saul whips out the Harley text. The ancient text of Elbaph, which describes the first world, the second world, and the third world. So I'm going to read this verbatim, and then I will describe the mural. So right here, we have the first world, and it says, "On Earth, there is flame. Mankind, overtaken by desire, touched upon the forbidden sun. The enslaved prayed. The sun god appeared. The deity of earth is enraged. Together with the serpent of hellflame, they engulf the world in death and darkness. They can't be met again. And now, for the second world. In emptiness, there is breath. The deity of forest dispatched demons. The sun did nothing but spread seeds of war. The people of the half moon saw a dream. The people of the moon saw a dream. Men became gods after slaying the sun. The deity of the sea rampaged. They can't be met again." So World 1 and World 2 have already happened. That is the past. It looks like the second world might have been the Void Century. The first world might have been previous of that, right? It could have been, I don't know, back when Nika was around, the original Nika. That is my assumption. But now, on to the third world, the present day. They say, "In chaos, there is void. The troubled shadow remembers the promised day and listens to the sound of the fragmented moon. The sun god dances and laughs, leading the world to its end. The sun will return, and so comes a new morning. They will meet again." That is it. Very ambiguous. Oda is going crazy with this. I do think that this is something that will spawn many, many theories. I genuinely do not think there are going to be many people who come out of reading this with the same interpretation. It's kind of like religious text in a way, right? Everybody walks away from scriptures with a different understanding of what it means. And I think this is the exact same way, dude. Like, come on, man. What are we talking about? The sun god, the earth god, you know, we got the forest god. These are the gods of Skypiea that they're talking about, right? Oda's bringing it back to Skypiea to an extent. And then we have the serpent of hell. What are we talking about there? Are we talking about Jormungandr? Are we talking about a different serpent? The serpent of Adam and Eve even? We don't know. We really don't. And then as far as like the dawn coming in at the very end, right? They will meet again. What does that even mean, right? They end the first two worlds with, oh, they can't be met again. They can't be met again. And then when the third world is over, they say that they will meet again. Who are they? Are they perhaps talking about the gods? We don't know. So this is just the Harley text, right? And now I want to go back to the mural, because the mural is also crazy. The mural is another thing that we can't really interpret. We can kind of get the gist of it, but it's all the nuance that kind of muddies the waters, right? So we see the mural. It shows Treasure Tree Adam at the center, and the mural is divided into two parts. Above the tree, there is a winged monster-demon that spits fire from its mouth. So above the tree, I'm automatically thinking about the Heaven Realm, right? We have not been there yet, so maybe this monster actually exists, or this could just be something from the past. And now, on the right side of the mural, we can see several things. On one side, we see a great city attacked by a massive serpent. And on the other side, we see an ark with a king angels, and animals. In this part, we can also see a moon and some people making offerings that look like stars. This last part is similar to the paintings that we found on Enel's moon. Now, on the left side of the mural, we can see a big battle. Here, we can see Nika, or Joy Boy, fighting against a huge winged demon that has the sun in its hands. Nika is fighting alongside giants, one of them had horns, samurai, Lunarians, minks, a mermaid princess accompanied by sea creatures, angels, a robot similar to Emmett, and a lot of ships with humans. One of them seems to be from Alabasta. What? Right, like, this is something I can't really talk about because we need to see the images, right? Like, the images are gonna go crazy, dude. What are we talking about here, man? But yeah, with that being said, guys, let me know what you think down below. Of course, I will be reading through the comment section in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to drop your theories down there. I would love to read them and hear what you guys are talking about. I guess the last two things I now want to end off on are just talking about the fact that we now know why the giants are so divided on the sun god, right? The first sun god was the liberator, the second one was the one of destruction, and now the third one is the one of laughter. So yeah, we did have 3 separate personalities for the sun god from the sound of it. Of course, this could just be the way the Harley depicts them. I don't know if this is the same sun god or just different iterations. I'm kind of leaning towards different iterations. And now for the last thing is that when it comes to all the races that are depicted in the mural, we've actually met all of them, except for the angels. Right? It talks about giants, samurai, Lunarians, the mermaid princess, sea creatures, a robot, blah, blah. We've seen every single one of those except angels. What are the angels? It's not Lunarians because they're already mentioned here. So what angel are they talking about? Is that another race in One Piece that we have not seen? Or maybe angels are Skypians because they do have the white wings. We don't know. We're gonna have to see this for ourselves. And yeah, with that being said, guys, I'll catch y'all later. My name is Sai. And I'm signing out, brother.